Today's lesson is 3-6 Reteaching. The learning goal for this lesson is to multiply 2-digit numbers and 3-digit numbers by a 1-digit number. We're going to start this lesson with a word problem. Mr. McGuire drives his truck 275 miles each day. How far does he drive in 3 days? So first let's find a reasonable estimate. One way to find a reasonable estimate is to round these numbers. So I'm going to go ahead and round the number 275 to 300. And I'm going to multiply that by 3, which is the number of days we're trying to figure out how far he drives. So I know by identifying my patterns when multiplying my multiples of 10 and 100 that I can multiply 3 times 3, which is 9, and then add my 2 zeros on the end. So my estimate for this problem is going to be 900 miles. So the first thing we're going to do with this problem is multiply the ones, which are the bolded numbers here, the 5 and the 3. Over to the right, that little diagram shows you maybe if we were using base 10 blocks, what it would look like. We know that 5 times 3 is going to give us 15 ones. So over on the right, we have 15 ones, but this oval right here has grouped together 10 of the ones to make 1 10 with 5 of our blocks left over. So we're going to do the same kind of process, whether you realize it or not, when writing out this answer. Underneath the 5 times 3, I'm going to write 5 because that's the number of blocks I have left over. And I'm going to carry the 1 to the tens place because of this oval, this regrouping oval right here. That tells me I have a new 10. The next thing I'm going to do is multiply my 3 by my tens. So I have 2 bolded numbers here, which are the 7 in the tens place and the 3. When I multiply 3 ones by 7 tens, I'm going to get 21 tens. And then I need to add that 1 10 that I carried over from my ones place. So I have 22 tens. Over on the right-hand side in that diagram, you can see these 22 tens represented. Each of these long sticks is 1 10. Well, just like the last time, they have grouped together 10 tens, only this time they're making a new 100. So we have 100 and 200 with 2 tens left over. So, just like we did on the previous slide, we're going to put the number of tens we have left over down below. So we're going to put a 2 right here, and we're going to carry over the number of hundreds that we made when we regrouped, which is also 2. So we're going to put that above our hundreds place. The last thing we need to do is multiply the hundreds. So my 2 bolded numbers here is my 2 in my hundreds place and my 3 in my ones place. So we need to remember that this 2 is not really a 2. It is representing 200. So we really have 200 times 3 plus the extra 2 that we got when we regrouped in the tens place. So when we do 2 times 3, we get 6. And when we add that 2 up above, we get 8. The diagram on the right over here is showing me that I have 800. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hundreds. There's no need to regroup here because I can't make a group of thousands. I don't have 10 hundreds to make a group of 1,000. So I don't need to regroup here. I just go ahead and write my 8 into my final product. So my final answer here is 825. So now let's look back onto our estimate and determine whether or not it was reasonable. This chart shows me that our estimated product was 900 miles and that our actual product was 825 miles. So our estimate that we came up with at the beginning indeed was a reasonable estimate because they are pretty close in value. So now we want to figure out whether or not if our estimate is an overestimate or an underestimate. So let's go back to our original problem. We had 275 times 3, and we rounded it to 300 times 3. Well, our 3 stayed the same, so we don't really need to look at that, but we do need to look at our first factor. From going to 275 to 300, we made this number bigger. So the value of this product of 300 times 3 is going to be bigger than the value of this product because my 300 is larger. So in this case, our estimate is an overestimate. And you can also compare the two numbers up here and see that 900, which is our estimate, is larger than 825. And that's another way to figure out which one is, to figure out if it's an over or underestimate.